Give your write up.
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Sales tax.
All set. Yeah.
Okay, good morning. We'll call the governance committee meeting of June 18th, 2025 to order. Our next item on the agenda is to accept the minutes from the April 16th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion?
So,
Is there a second?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, the minutes are accepted. At this time, we'll open the meeting to public comment. If there's anyone here who would like to address the governance committee, you have 5 minutes. We just ask if you give your name and address. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section of the meeting.
John's on vacation.
Must be.
The next item on the agenda is a review, discussion, recommendation of a resolution extending from June 18th, 2025 to June 18th, 2026. The period during which Fairmore Incorporated, the company, is authorized to claim sales tax and use tax exemption benefit as agent of the Boone County Industrial Development Agency, approving an extension of the sales and use tax exemption agreement by and between the agency and the company, and authorizing the execution and delivery and or filing of related forms and documents in connection therewith, provided that the total sales and use tax exemption benefit shall not exceed $66,880 as authorized by the agency pursuant to resolution adopted on June 18th, 2023.
Good afternoon or good morning still, everyone. So this request comes from Ferromar. This is a project that we supported through a sales tax exemption about a year ago. Ferromar is a clean energy company. They produce a insular exterior panel. They have funding from both from NYSERDA and are locating in the former Cogen facility in the Charles Street Business Park. They have received that building from the city of Binghamton and are working on the renovation and fit out to essentially produce these modular panels. They have hit some delays with their progress due, I think, mostly related to some equipment delays, purchase of equipment, and are requesting just an additional year on the value of that sales tax exemption from June 18th of 2020 till June 18th of next year.
Any questions or discussion?
Overall, they're happy with how things are going. Thanks.
Yes, they have some really large pieces of equipment that they have had to kind of create an outdoor, it's a tent structure, but it's considered an outdoor building. So they're just dealing with some issues related to code and working with the city through some challenges there. But as far as I know, they're gearing up to start producing in a larger volume and. Yeah.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Go ahead, Jim.
Next item on the agenda, a review, discussion, recommendation of a resolution accepting an application from CMP Advanced Mechanical Solutions LLC or an entity formed to be formed on a later date on behalf of foregoing the company providing a sales and use tax exemption benefit in an amount currently estimated not to exceed $24,720 to facilitate the upgrade, modernization, and equipping of certain systems, positions, and supplies at the company's existing electromechanical manufacturing facility located at 90 Bevere Street in the city of Binghamton, making a finding that the proposed action and the providing of the financial assistance to the company constitutes a type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR section 617.5 and therefore is exempt from review under the Environmental Quality Review Act.
So this comes as a second request from CMP. CMP is a Canadian-based contract manufacturing company with a facility on Bevere Street in the city of Binghamton. They are undergoing some modest upgrades to their existing facility. These upgrades include infrastructure adjustments and both to inside the facility and also some improvements to the grounds. Examples are modifications of the modifications include purchase and installation of new manufacturing equipment such as welding power supplies, welding positioners, dust collection systems, finishing systems, water testing systems, assembly and fulfillment systems, and handling and organization equipment, upgrades to electrical and mechanical systems, as well as heating and cooling equipment. So this is considered a second phase of this effort to upgrade their facility. Their total project costs related to this phase are $627,000, leaving an estimated value of New York state and local tax sales at exemption would be $24,720.
Okay, any questions or
I have,
comments?
but they say they're gonna, create 20 jobs. What kind of jobs are we talking about?
I think mostly connected, probably mostly just to the production floor of what they're doing. Well, it looks like they're increasing welding equipment, so they do heavy, really, they're a heavy equipment contract manufacturer. So they're doing a lot with welding and power supplies. They didn't really state
Okay.
specifically what those occupations are, but my understanding is they're all connected to production.
Pretty well paying,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
fifty to $110,000.
Yeah, I'm thinking between 50 and 100. Not-
20
not
20
bad.
new jobs for this modest request, I think is excellent.
Yeah, and they're a company that has been, quietly doing really well. They transitioned a lot of what they're producing to now in the clean energy space. They create framing for large scale battery storage systems. And seeing a lot of growth in that area. So I know they are out. In addition to this, we're hopeful that they'll be making another sizable expansion. So in constant conversation with them on what their needs are.
There's no, connection. BOCES has a welding, program.
Mhm.
There's no connection
No.
here.
Not that I'm aware of. They may be working with BOCES for them not.
That would be wonderful.
Well, I mean, if there could be potential employees for that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hopefully, hopefully it's an opportunity for some of the students taking that, to have jobs locally.
yeah.
They for local labor.
BOCES has been.
No, I
Oh,
mean, CMP.
Oh.
They didn't know there's.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're using all local.
Hmm.
They're using all local.
Yeah, everything is
Mhm.
stand up and.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Next item on the agenda is a resolution accepting an application from Value Auto or an entity formed or to be formed on a later date on behalf of the foregoing, the company providing a sales and use tax exemption benefit in the amount currently estimated not to exceed $62,340 to acquire and install construction materials, machinery, furniture, fixtures, and equipment at a new steel building to be constructed at 113 Bevere Street in the city of Binghamton, and making a finding that the proposed action and the providing of financial assistance to the company constitutes an unlisted pursuant to the 6 NYCRR section 617, and that the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment.
all right, so this is related to a new business coming into the area. Value Auto and Towing is a multi-location, second-generation, family-owned business founded in 1996 in Owego, New York. They've since expanded to about 10 to 12 locations across New York and Pennsylvania. They offer 24/7 light-duty and heavy-duty towing, roadside assistance, and auto repair services at their Owego shop. Frequently used by insurance companies, emergency services, and have grown their fleet to include trucks, rotators, and heavy-duty units. Value Auto and Towing is an established locally operated towing and auto repair service. They are investing in a new steel fabricated facility at 113 Bevere Street, very close to CMP, with Pritchard Development Corporation overseeing construction. The move aims to expand their urban presence and support growth in the city of Binghamton service contract area, particularly for police and emergency response. They do have towing yards and storage located in Broome County, but this is the first this will be their first full-service shop Total project costs are just a little bit over $1 million. And they're seeking a sales tax exemption of $62,340.
Any questions or comments?
Good.
The motion?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is a resolution approving revisions to the agency's uniform tax exemption policy with respect to the abatement of real property taxes for certain qualified residential housing projects.
Okay, so this proposed modification to our UTEP, comes after, I'd say several months, or if not years, of conversations about the need to kickstart new housing, builds, specifically related to single-family homes that can be, sold, versus rentals. Currently, if a housing development, single-family housing development is for rent, it is qualified under our traditional UTEP because those houses would be considered a commercial project. What this proposal does was it, I guess, expands our authority to potentially provide a pilot benefit to single-family developments that are being built but for sale. We've done some research on where this is happening elsewhere in New York State. I know Rome, New York is one area where they're doing this related to the growth of the Griffiths Business and Technology Park. I think New Rochelle is doing this, single family homes as affordable. The board would have a lot of discretion in how the pilot would be structured. It could be something that simply provides benefit to a builder taking on the risk of building a multi-development, housing development. But those properties could be sold versus rent. We have a number of interested builders in our community. One of the challenges is cost and associated risk to hold properties for a period of time. This would alleviate some of that burden and could initiate the construction of a single-family housing developments. The county, I think 2 years ago, issued a countywide housing assessment that looked at both rentals and single-family homes. I think the total number of units that the housing needs assessments that we were deficient was about 6,000 units. Of that, I think there were roughly 4,000 that were recommended for new single-family home units. So this could be a way to kickstart or support construction of that housing. So we had asked Chris to create some potential language that would modify our UTEP to enable the board to consider projects that would be single-family home or potentially, duplex units that would be for sale versus rentals. Anything else I should add to that?
No, I think you summarized it nicely.
I love it. We need this so badly. We've talked about doing something, so I'm glad we've come up with some ideas. I like that we have a lot of discretion, but should we have some constraints? And are there targets for size or value of the homes that are being built? I could see some criticism if, the first one that comes to us with $1 million home. Are there limitations that we should be considering?
I think it would be prudent to probably put some framework around the criteria for this. To that purpose, is this intended strict, solely to support the developer, the builder taking on the risk? And does that benefit cease upon transfer? I think, the board would have discretion at that. Is there a minimum number of units? We don't want to be too limiting, but at the same time, are there a certain number of units we would want to look at that would be considered this would be considered a project in the eyes of the IDA, certainly not one.
It would have to be a commercial project.
Yeah.
Right, and so you guys would have to make a finding that it's a commercial project. One home, $1 million home. I think that would be challenged and successfully challenged.
Mhm.
So I think you do have to make it's gotta be some kind of development, some kind of larger scale project. I just provided language So you guys have the opportunity to do it. The business decision of you guys telling me what constraints you want in there, we'll draft for you. I just need to know what those are. As Stacy said, I don't think you should be completely limiting in the UTEP, but I do think you should have some fencing.
And
Would this include attached housing?
it could,
Yeah.
yes.
That's where your economy comes.
Mhm.
Right,
Like, for example, duplex,
Yeah.
townhome style units.
Well, attached housing, they could be completely separate, but
And one thing as far as, from a cost perspective, is there a price point? I know we did at least a year ago, we did look at a market study on new builds. And what the price point was. I think that would be something that would be prudent for us to do on an annual or semi-annual basis, which is to do a market analysis. What is the true cost of building, or, what's that value there? And I think that price point was somewhere between, 400,000 was sort of the low end. But there was a threshold that I think we may wanna stay within and just test the market on maybe a biannual basis to make sure we're not
Mhm.
incenting things that are overly, unrealistic for the market.
So the benefit would go to the contractor, not to the homeowner.
Well, I think that's
that's
what,
another decision.
yeah, I think that's what this
Peter's
board
point,
would
I
decide.
think subsidizing taxes for people building $500,000 homes, that would be a hard sell. For anybody.
We need new homes though, so I don't know, I wouldn't pass that. But, I mean, I wouldn't say that out of the gate.
But why should the taxpayers subsidize somebody building a $500,000 home?
Same reason that we do other pilots, we're getting new homes into the community.
But it's one home for, this is.
It's not one home, though, right? We're
No,
talking
no,
about-
but if it's going to the contractor, it's one thing, but if it's going to you, I'm helping subsidize your taxes.
I'm not saying for 20 years, but maybe it's a scaled 5-year to get new homeowners into a home, get them into the community.
Well, then I want a tax benefit too, for staying in.
But then they'll live
We
at
all
home.
do.
Well, I'm just telling you-
Existing
I'm just telling you how it's,
businesses do
I'm
too,
just gonna tell you how it's gonna play.
Well, and I think
Somebody's
that-
coming in building a $500,000
We have it-
home, why do they need taxpayer assistance?
Because first of all,
I understand the concept, but
I don't take this the wrong way, but $500,000 home is not that an expensive home anymore.
I know.
It's just not. Right, if we said the average is 400, whatever, I mean,
I
this
think it was
is
the low end.
right, at low end of new, we're talking about new construction. And we have a dearth of new construction in this community. And one of the reasons that there is no new construction is because the entry point is so high. If you look to build a new home, especially depending on the town that you're in, the tax, and Mike, you can certainly speak to this, but the taxes are a major obstacle. And just like they are on other commercial projects, and I think we need to think about this in the same way as commercial projects. And I don't believe at this moment, we're gonna walk through and resolve every issue.
Right.
But I think we need to probably have some robust discussions about what that looks like. Because, if you only subsidize the builder, he'll build it. But what good is building it if no one's gonna buy it? Because the tax is so high.
well, yeah.
well, the taxes
I
are high
mean,
for everybody.
especially when
So,
you're talking
they're not- they're-
Endicott and Johnson
Right.
City.
What?
The
Got
problem is,
double taxes.
Right, the thing is, I'm just saying, it's gonna be a hard sell to the general public.
problem, and, speak
But
to
that's
Mike,
just
the problem is
Debate
that
for later time.
in some of these communities, the tax rates, when you compare new home compared to an existing structure are astronomically far apart.
Well, I agree.
And that creates a disincentive in those communities for new construction. Is that, you're in the
I
business?
agree,
Yeah.
total 100%, but you still have the picture, the visual of someone coming in, building a $500,000, $700,000 home and getting it, for lack of a better word, a personal tax break. That's not gonna play
But the,
in this community.
but
I'm
the
telling you.
reverse.
I
of that-
agree with the need for
But
it.
that you're only seeing half the equation. The flip side of that is that if somebody builds a new home, their tax on that new home is disproportionately high to their next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And so the question is, who's really getting subsidized there? The next door neighbor is the one who's getting subsidized by the person who built the new home. Because the new home, the next door neighbor, if they've been in that house for 30 years, hasn't seen their assessment change,
Oh,
right? And the new home starts at the full assessment. And you wind up with this disparity that doesn't make any sense at all. So, you know,
I agree, but
Well-
Tanya, it's
well,
gonna be a hard
Well,
sell.
they had, villages had programs where if you build a new house, your assessment increased 10% every year. So that at year 10, you were paying full taxes based on full assessment.
which sounds an
That
awful
makes
lot like a
sense.
pilot, which sounds an awful lot like a
That's
pilot.
exactly what we're talking about. John, as you probably know more than anybody here, if you're talking about attached housing, what are you talking about per unit of new construction? Say you had a fourplex,
I'm not following your question. What,
Your cost
Rephrase
to
the
what
build.
are you talking about? Cost of construction of one unit as part of a fourplex.
significantly lower if you build a fourplex, right?
But in terms of dollars, 300,000? two?
It's hard to say, because right now, construction costs, I think Peter can speak to this better than me. We're talking $300 a square foot without even batting an eye, so. Costs are
So you're talking
hard to.
possibly $250,000-300,000.
And,
That's not
and
bad.
personally, I think it would be prudent to have a reasonable sunset on this. I agree with Peter. I don't think we're suggesting a 20-year term. And John and I had that conversation as well, that it needs to do a few things, right? We know we have a current shortage of housing units, especially in that realm of single-family homes. We know it's a challenge for employers who are recruiting. We know it's a challenge for people, looking to stay in the area. The question, and we know the costs are just prohibitive to new builds. The builders aren't taking on that risk. So, again, I think goes back to the board's discretion on creating a program that meets the objective, which is to kickstart new builds, but takes into account, I think, reasonable cost based on markets analysis that we do. We have one currently, and some rational time frame in which it benefits the builder and potentially a short-term benefit for the new buyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's things that.
I like this change. And I think just acknowledging, we're gonna have further discussion
Yeah,
down the road.
I don't mind the change. I just think that it's the devil's in the details.
Right.
That's how we frame it.
But I'm just concerned about the visuals, somebody coming in, say the new president of BU makes $1 million, is building a home and gets a tax break. I think people are gonna say, what?
But that's
Again,
not what we're
we-
talking about. We're
it's
talking about
part of
him
the
buying a home and the development of maybe 10 other homes that are getting built.
Right,
Yeah.
but,
Or 50.
but I mean, it's gonna be,
Or 50 homes,
Yeah.
or however many,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's a development. It's not a single
no, but I mean, if this goes,
project.
that's why I said if there's a way that this could go to the, well, we can discuss it. I'm just throwing it out there as things I just see as concern for the visual. We weren't gonna settle that now, so, I mean, there's a lot of discussion to come, so.
I knew this would be a healthy topic.
So,
That's an important one.
And so we've had issues before with, the state, this falls under, this doesn't meet any kind of, remember we talked about putting something at the state level, this doesn't mean any of that, this kind of falls within the purview of.
You would have to make the finding that it's a commercial project. And the court will hold you to an arbitrary and capricious standard. So long as your finding is reasonable. And you're not only giving it to certain developers and you're applying it, uniformly, then you've acted reasonably.
Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Bye.
The motion is carried.
that's everything.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Second,
Yeah.
all in favor? Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.
All set.
And this is last ditch kind of thing, like East Bridges.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Boone County Industrial Development Agency of June 18th, 2025. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of our May 20th, 25 board meeting. Thank you, Dan. Is there a second? Thank you, Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Come to the part of our agenda where we have our public comment session. Anybody wishing to speak on any matter concerning the Boone County IDA, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments, if you will, to 5 minutes.
Hello, the camera's for my protection. My name is John, and just on this discussion of subsidies for home building. It's the way out of it is a square footage base. Doesn't matter how many square foot versus thousands square feet, something like that. That would be the way to do that, but I couldn't help but think of the contrast between the advertising, your advertising campaigns, the community booster stuff, and what actually goes down here. I mean, the discussions here are like, oh, well, if we don't do this, nobody's coming in, so it's the reality of these meetings, when contrasted with the advertising, I guess that's to attract residents and businesses is quite striking. 28,000 views of an incident on my Binghamton Daily X page, 28,000 views so far of the vicious attack that was leveled against me on your property by Jared Hutter. He's the guy here that attended an executive session. I asked him a single question. In fact, before I talked to him, I talked to Elaine, and it was congenial. I asked him a single question, and he lunged at me, tried to grab my iPad. It's in the town of Dickinson Court, but it's truly startling to me. And I've seen this before in a lot of people under 40. They just hit it right. They hit a wave, social media or whatever. They don't pay any dues. And I got to ask myself, what kind of businessman is this? So I hold you responsible in the sense that if you don't condemn this kind of violence by one of the people that is associated and getting benefits from this agency, I think you're not doing your duty. Because I know this, there's 2 sets of rules around here, and I know it. I can't do anything to anybody, because for crying out loud, I would be, up against a police lineup in a hurry. So I have to take extra care. But someone from New Jersey, a guy that you're giving millions of dollars worth of benefit for, on a simple question can lunge at me, try to take my iPad in a vicious manner. So much so that I received a direct message from a retired officer of the state police, and he said, if you need security, let me know. I'll do it. So this is not a businessman. This is a punk. That's what this guy is. He's a thug. I suggest he take his thuggish ways and stay right there by the Jersey Shore with him, because he's certainly no kind of respectable businessman. Now, what I would have done, the minute that this hit, I would have immediately said, I'm sorry. I mean, people lose their temper. It's expected. But it's a month. I had no communication from him. So this is the kind of people that you're attracting to Broome County. Shameful, disgraceful. Should never be. I mean, if I got out of hand here, I'm sure it would be, John, you don't need that kind of stuff here. So it's very interesting to me. The Crowley loss, I guess somebody must have had a Ouija board there and put a curse on the building after Crowley left. Because this is the month that these law departments were supposed to open. Supposed to be open and for rent, and there was tremendous demand in June of 2025. So the month we're in. Now, I went to the press thing, and you people weren't there, but Jared Graham was there on TV, and I asked a couple of questions. And it was clear to me at that time, using some BS radar, that this guy couldn't deliver the goods on this project any more than the man in the moon. Any more than that he was gonna do some of the work by himself. And this is why I've suggested that some sort of completion by, when someone comes into these meetings with a lot of swagger and attorneys, and they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that, and artist renderings, they should have a completion bond. Because this ties you up. You know, it's not only the lost money around here, we've lost a lot of time. You know, and when, you know, as James Brown would say, money won't change you, but time will take you on. And when people are living here and they're hearing I mean, I was at town union meeting together, and one of the trustees said, you know, if I had a nickel for every economic development, plan that was hatched for the old IBM site, I'd be a rich man. So, I mean, I don't know, it seems very, very, a poor way of doing business. And I concur with the mayor, He's got a good handle on the polls.
Thank you, John. Would anybody else like to speak at this public comment session? We'll call the session to close. Executive Director's Report. Stacy.
Just a few brief updates, so we can get into our agenda. We attended a few openings recently, we attended the opening of Riverside Gardens, that is the redevelopment of the former Davis College campus. That was about 2 weeks ago, I think. Construction has begun, on that project, so we're pleased to see that move forward. We also attended a grand opening of the expansion of Good Shepherd Village at Endwell. That was a refinance we did through the LDC. That has been a beautiful expansion in addition to that facility as well. A few updates on some funding. The IDA has approved. We are still waiting to hear from Empire State Development on the strategic plan and feasibility study grant program to look at a master facility strategy for the Huron campus. We're hoping that announcement and award will come imminently. As a reminder, the board approved $75,000 of funding to go as match for that program. If awarded, we would issue an RFQ for a qualified firm to help us look at the facility and try to do a build out plan for the next 10+ years of that campus. We also are completing a phase 2 application to the state to do a planning effort for a regional workforce training facility. Everything takes a little bit longer than we'd like, but that's in process. Some more to come on that one as well. And we're continuing to have studies underway for the Broome Tech Park. This past week, they were on the site to do a noise analysis for about a 48 period of time. They put these kind of sound audio equipment on there. And as well, next week, they will be doing some geotechnical borings on areas of that we have under control. We're continuing to move towards the completion of the draft final GEIS, which we hope to have to the board for first viewing. Ideally in August is what we're shooting for, but we want to make sure we're doing a thorough analysis on all of these areas of impact. And with that, I think I will close that out. And if there's any questions, happy to take them.
Questions for Stacy? We've all had a chance to look at the internal financial report as of May 31st. Are there any questions for Stacy?
Yeah, I wanted the tech budgets. We do that at this time.
Sure.
But just the only thing I just saw here was the communications was like $388,000. What's being included into that, do you know? The line item for communications.
So communications, we do have a contract with Marathon Strategies, as part of that. As well, website development, public outreach, the open house. I'd have to pull the register, but everything that we're doing is public outreach related to that. Our website development, print materials that we've created thus far. I can get you the register, which will give you a more detailed
So I
breakdown.
mean, is some of this, like, for example, a contract, is that for like, are we paying for something that, for example, hasn't been delivered yet? I mean, is this covering, or is this everything? This $388,000, everything has been, like delivered, has everything been delivered, is I guess what I'm asking, or like, is there like, for example, if you have like
Sure.
a mailing being produced, might be paid for, but hasn't.
Yeah,
hit
we
yet.
have some retained agreements, so some of it is billed annually, like with Marathon, for example. The website development, as you know, that was delivered, but we continue to update and update the website. We did do a mass mailing as a community-wide survey. So that included the production of the postcards that went to all the town Main and town Union residents, things like that. So some have been delivered projects, but some are.
Yeah, so it seems like a
retained
lot
and ongoing.
Communications.
Yeah,
about it.
happy to get you a more detailed register on what's underneath that budget line. Yep, for sure.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Legal, Chris, is very inexpensive.
I don't even know what it is.
I think there's that's partly Joe that hasn't billed us.
That's
for the
correct.
first 4 months of the
That's
year.
correct.
So
Yeah.
someone's chasing Joe down.
Correct.
Yes, we asked Joe. Yes.
Seems like a little bit.
It does. No, yeah, that is
That's
a very
And
nice
Chris, thanks for
number.
working for free. The only other question I'm. sorry,
I do, the people that work for me, I have to pay.
Right, so, yeah,
other
so no, we
question-
are expecting an invoice from Mr. Mayor soon.
And then contingency, just,
Mhm.
we just seem to have burned through that and then some.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder why we're stuffing in the contingency unless there's,
Let me pull that. I have
it doesn't have to be answered right this minute.
I can tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have the
Please.
variance report here as
You have
well.
it?
I do. Yes, because I think
It
I
was a
have the
closing
same
cost
question.
for,
Harlan
Harlan
Road.
Road, so Old Dominion Freight, we don't really have a line item to put those costs in, so that was the best place to put that, I guess, because we don't have a specific budget line item
Got it.
for those
Cost
type
on
of
our end,
costs.
engineering costs, closing costs
Yeah.
related to the sale of that property, which we.
Yeah,
So maybe we create a line item. for-
yes, we actually talked about that
Yep.
for this year,
Okay,
yeah.
it's too skewed, okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Elaine.
Yeah, on the cash balances in the checking account, the MBT checking account and the Steed checking account. Those are pretty significant, 47,000 and 67,000 respectively. I've mentioned this before. I don't know why we have all this idle cash. I don't know why it's not just, pushed right into the money market funds unless you've got outstanding checks or something that just happened to be what it was at the end of the month, but
Yeah,
is there a reason we're not doing?
Well,
this?
Steve, because we have the $259,000 loan we approved, so
Yeah.
we didn't move any of that money, because we actually have to add more to it.
Yeah.
when we were-
Yeah, we've had,
So
I
we
mean,
did that with
we've had,
timing.
I think
Yeah.
we've had a lot of money in checking though, all along, haven't we?
we have, I know, I'm looking at these accounts, I was, yeah, I know.
It's
I see
not
the
in that-
cash
I
and
mean,
cash
we go through-
equivalents.
I mean, that's not, I'm gonna have it operationally.
I was gonna say, these are operational accounts,
Yeah.
but these,
47, yeah.
yeah, so that's monies we're using to pay for operations out of the checking there.
Mm-hmm.
The MBTV CIDA checking. The speed account as noted was, if we're doing, we just did that large check, so we have
Mhm.
funds in there to cut that check.
Yeah,
Um.
we usually
but
pull that money, it gets, we typically like to only keep 15,000-20,000.
Oh, okay.
In the steed,
In the
yeah, but the
steed book,
checking
yeah.
is just operational monies.
You don't use the Steed money unless you have a grant, right? Or, I mean,
If we're doing
unless
a
you're doing a
loan,
grant.
yeah,
loan.
typically it's
Loan.
when we have a loan that we're paying out.
Yeah, I mean, so,
Yeah,
yeah, so
so we
it
like to
seems
pay,
to me
like the
you should
payments
have
build up
almost
and we get repaid.
almost $100 balance in your checking or something.
Yeah, we
If-
could.
I mean, I know
Spill
you've
over.
got an outstanding loan right now, but.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's just me, but.
Yeah.
I'm. That's what I believe, yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, loan activity reports, any questions for Natalie? Moving onward to new business resolution approving a $200,000 loan request from 252 Main Street LLC. The company from the Business Development Fund, BDF Loan Fund Program, as set forth in the commitment letter attached here to as Exhibit A, and making a finding that the proposed action in the providing of the loan to the company constitutes a type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR section 617.5, and therefore is exempt from review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Mayor has come through governance.
No, it did not complete governance.
I'm sorry, I thought it did, my mistake.
It's okay.
Natalie, would you care to
Yes.
walk us through this,
Yes.
please?
Before you is a $200,000 loan request from David Whalen of 252 Main Street, Johnson City LLC, to assist with the acquisition and complete renovation of a mixed-use building at 252 Main Street in Johnson City. The building currently vacant and in deteriorated condition will be transformed into 4 residential apartments on the upper floors and a ground commercial space. David Whalen is an experienced entrepreneur and developer who has successfully completed similar projects at 265 Main Street, 214 Main Street, and 128 Washington Street. He is also the owner of Binghamton Hots Inc. and Hots Franchise Group Inc. Mr. Whalen has applied for up to $186,000 in grant funding through the Village of Johnson City Small Project Funds and the Greater Binghamton Fund. These funds, if awarded, will directly reduce the senior debt and improve the project's DSCR. Mr. Whalen currently has 2 existing loans with the IDA, one from the Business Development Fund and the other from the Business Retention and Expansion Loan Fund, with a remaining balance of $151,268. Both loans are in good standing and have always been paid on time, reflecting a strong history of responsible borrowing and repayment with the IDA. The Advisory Loan Committee and I recommend approval of this loan for the following reasons. Global DSCR ranges from 1.33 to 1.40. The borrower has an excellent credit score of 796 and strong personal cash flow. 2 existing IDA loans are current and in good standing. The borrower has a proven track record of completing similar successful redevelopment projects. All required equity is verified and corporate and personal guarantees are strong. Up to $186,000 in grants are pending that would reduce the senior debt risk. The loan will be secured by a second mortgage position behind Tioga State Bank on 252 Main Street, a second mortgage on 265 Main Street. Currently, the IDA has the first mortgage. The corporate guarantees of Binghamton Hots Inc. and Hots Franchise Inc. The unlimited personal guarantee of David Whalen, an assignment of life insurance in the loan amount, assignment of leases and rent subordinate position to Tioga State Bank. An independent appraisal will be conducted by Tioga State Bank prior to closing. The appraisal will validate the as-is and post-renovation market value and confirm adequate collateral coverage. The loan will have a 20-year amortization schedule with a 15-year term and a fixed rate of 3%. This structure results in monthly payments of $1,109.20, with a balloon payment of $61,729.33 due at the end of the 15th year. These terms have been confirmed and agreed to by the borrower. The project is expected to support local construction jobs during the build-out phase and contribute to the revitalization of downtown Johnson City by attracting new residents and commercial tenants. The first floor commercial suite is anticipated to support small business operations and create additional employment opportunities within the community. The applicant has stated that the project will not have a negative environmental impact. All renovation activities will comply with local building codes and environmental regulations, and a phase 1 environmental review will be conducted prior to closing to confirm site safety and eligibility. This project presents low risk and high community benefit.
I just have a comment on this. I'll just preface it with, I like this project and I have absolutely no reservations whatsoever. I'm glad we have a loan committee in place, and I'm assuming that the committee is made up of bankers.
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, it is.
I remember from the days when you guys were in the county office building, talking to Tom Gray and how the loan committee put him through the ringer every single time. Peter, I don't know if you were on that loan committee, but,
Well,
yeah, I've heard stories. So I'm glad that they're tough and they really do, are very thorough in what they do. You know, I was on the Binghamton Local Development Corporation for 11 years, as Nick was obviously, and I was on the loan committee for that. And we used to do a lot of this analysis, but it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't remember a
Yeah,
lot of
I know,
how we did
it's-
that. It's pretty technical. So when I look at this, I'm confident that the loan committee knows what they're talking about, but I would like to understand what I'm looking at. You know, as far as the cash flow analysis, 0.97 times and 0.94, that really doesn't mean anything to me. Maybe sometime we could do a little tutorial if anyone's
Yeah.
interested. Maybe I'm the only one that wants to know, but I'd be glad to stop in sometime
Yeah,
and you
sit
can
down
kind
with
of
you,
go over
sure.
it with me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the property specific cash flow is the first set of data is without our participation, correct?
What are you looking, John? Sorry.
On under project
Right.
overview.
Yes,
Cash flow analysis.
yes,
So the anticipated cash flow is assuming we do this loan.
correct.
Any other questions?
Sorry, and I did supply in the email, Tyler State Banks write up. They do a very thorough underwriting and has all the information in there. Yeah.
The only question I have, like, to piggyback on Elaine's point, the loan committee with bankers obviously gives us a sense of security. We're a second on some of the mortgages, and so how strong is our position as a second, would you say? I mean, because remember a lot of times with, like, when we were on the LDC, the city would have a second, and then when it came due, the second really didn't get a lot.
Right. It's fairly strong, but I did add the additional collateral.
Yeah, you got a lot.
Yeah, I added the
Yeah, that's-
additional of the other.
Because that second mortgage sometimes sounds good, but.
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
the-
I did try to get first since we are purchasing the building, but I just knowing from Tom and saying that the bank is always gonna come in and take the
They're
first.
typically always gonna have the
Yeah.
first, but yeah,
Yeah,
as bankers, they always do that. But
Understand.
Last meeting, we had discussion on the interest rate for the loan we
100%,
approved
yeah.
last month, and I forget what the disposition was on that. Did we keep the interest rate?
keep it consistent, 100%, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I spoke with the loan committee and Dan can attest, they were agreeable to that.
Is there a motion?
Almost,
Thank
second.
you, Dan. Is there a second? Elaine? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, resolution approving revisions to the agency's uniform tax exemption policy with respect to the abatement of real property taxes for certain qualified residential housing projects. This was discussed in governance, correct?
Yes. We move it forward as a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Or any additional questions maybe for Stacy?
What was the change?
So, yeah, I was not at governance.
No.
Yes, this would be helpful for you.
Yeah.
So, in your packet, you have, a copy of our current UTEP, Uniform Tax Exemption Policy. In red, you'll see a proposed modification that will enable the IDA, to use within its discretion, to be able to support projects that are, ideally, single family or potentially, attached housing units that are for sale versus the current structure, our statutory authority, it's considered a commercial project. So rental projects are considered commercial. If they meet a certain number of units, then our programs are eligible. Based on, our ability to create a finding that let's say I'm just gonna say a 30 new single-family home development would be considered commercial project, and we could provide pilot benefit to that developer and potentially beyond a transfer. That's some of the things we'll need to figure out to support the construction of those homes. Much of this has been driven by the deficiency in number of housing units we have to satisfy current need, but certainly for future growth needs. And so we've looked at a few models across the state where they're using IDA programs, pilot programs to incent new single-family home construction. So the resolution is to just to approve the modification of our UTEP to enable us to be able to consider benefits for those types of projects. There was some discussion on creating some criteria, creating some thresholds of how we would look at projects.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions? Shall we have a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
I'll abstain.
abstain?
I should.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you all. Resolution number 8, extending from June 18th, 2025 to June 18th, 2026, the period during which Firamar Inc., the company, is authorized to claim sales and use tax exemption benefits as agent of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency, approving the extension of the sales and use tax exemption is provided between the agency and the company, and authorizing the execution and delivery and or filing of related forms and documents in connection therewith, provided that the total sales and use tax exemption benefit will not exceed $66,880 as authorized by the agency pursuant to a resolution adopted on June 18th, 2023. Mayor,
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
is there a second? Thank you, Mike. Any discussion?
Are they planning on doing away with the tent and like building a structure that
I
hosts?
think that's what they're working through with the city now, and they classify that as structure. I don't know if they're on the same page, so I think they're working through that part.
Where was this located again?
Charles Street Business.
Oh,
Park.
okay.
Cogent, you said.
Okay.
Well, they're building the panels for, what is it,
JFK.
JFK Terminal 1
Yeah.
renovation, and they have other state things that they're working on, so it's good to hear.
Mhm.
Any further questions? Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Item number 9, resolution accepting an application from CMP Advanced Mechanical Solutions LLC or an entity formed or to be formed on a later date on behalf of the foregoing, the company, providing a sales and use tax exemption benefit in an amount currently estimated not to exceed $24,720 to facilitate the upgrade, modernization, and equipping of certain systems, positions, and supplies at the company's existing electromechanical manufacturing facility located at 90 Revere Street in the city of Binghamton, Broome County, New York, and making a finding that the proposed action and the providing of the financial assistance to the company constitutes a type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR section 617.5 and therefore is exempt from review under State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item number 10. Resolution accepting an application from Value Auto or an entity formed or to be formed on a later date on behalf of the foregoing, the company, providing a sales and use tax exemption benefit in an amount currently estimated not to exceed $62,340 to acquire and install construction materials, machinery, furniture, fixtures, and equipment at a new steel building to be constructed at 113 Revere Street in the city of Binghamton, Broome County, New York, and making a finding that the proposed action and the providing of the financial assistance to the company constitutes an unlisted action pursuant to 6 NYCRR section 617, and that the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment.
Governance moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a second? Thank you,
Second.
Mike. Any discussion?
Just a question. As a type 2 action, it is subject to seeker and it's required that they complete an environmental assessment form. Did they do that? I didn't see it in the packet.
They did, yeah, it came after.
Oh, okay, and that's how they determined that there wasn't a significant impact. Okay.
Any further questions? Shall we have a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Motion to enter executive session pursuant to Article 7 of the Public Officers Law, which allows the board to meet in executive session to discuss pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, 1D and H, discussion regarding proposed litigation and the proposed acquisition of real property that if discussed in open session would substantially affect the value thereof. No decision or vote may be made or taken in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open public session. I will now entertain a second. Thanks, Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 12:30. The board discussed in closed session only those matters relating to the proposed acquisition by the agency along with a potential litigation. No decision of what was taken during the executive session. It is now 1:07 p.m. Is there any old business to discuss? Mayor,
Is that quality info under old business?
I think it does.
So, at our last meeting, we had a discussion because the developer at the quality and had advertised that he may be, or looking for investors for student housing.
Correct.
And then we were gonna go back to him. And there was also some discussion about use of local labor, I believe, too, of concerns about that. So I guess we're gonna go back and, so we have any
Yes.
updates from what he's up to?
Updates as of today are, we are still awaiting additional investor prospectuses, as was outlined in our public session last month. We are waiting for those to be provided. And we are waiting updated bid documents or labor documents related to efforts made to secure the percentage required for local labor. The conversation I know was yesterday. We don't have those yet. We have not closed and won't close.
We won't close till we get the information we need.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
I know he started construction.
Yeah,
this soon, so.
He's doing it without any benefits.
Yeah.
Right.
If he's doing anything, he's not getting.
They've taken control of the property?
I don't know if they've closed on the sale of the property.
They're doing work over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't come back.
Anything?
As far as I know, they're not
They're gonna
doing anything.
demolish the building.
Right, right.
I know they've put fencing up. I know they've put some equipment and some
they
fencing.
got
I
a big
don't-
pile of dirt or stone or
Yeah.
something over there.
I mean, as of today, they have no benefit with us because we
They
have
can't
not
use
closed.
any benefit.
So they have no
I
action.
can't use sales tax and anything like that.
Right, no.
Okay,
no.
no, it'd just be interesting how he comes back
Yeah.
because,
And we've informed that we need these materials to provide back to the board.
yeah, because he,
So it's been a while. Has he not responded
well, it's been
or
a month.
what's going on?
Yeah, we-
There were a few conversations between council.
I spoke to their council, I wanna say 3 times, and just we went back and forth and I kept reiterating the board's position and that you wanted to see these materials,
Yeah.
and she said she would get it. And then, yesterday, the conversation with between Natalie and
Zach,
Jared.
they had Natalie and Zach.
So what are you saying? Are they stalling? Or is it a genuine, they're trying to put I mean, I would think this is something you just can copy and send to us, right? Cause it must be already out there, I would assume, right?
Correct.
Well, one version is definitely out.
With the student housing version is out there.
He's saying he's supposing he's pulling that back, right? Or-
Yeah, and well, I don't know if he said he was pulling it back, he was gonna market to other investors, other, like housing investors, I think, and that's what we wanna see. We
And
wanna
at the
make it-
meeting, we requested all solicitations for investors connected to the project. We
Yeah,
don't have
but then
those
we had that discussion then before, because if you're marketing it to different people, it's like, well, what is it? I mean, if you're telling these people it's student housing, you're telling somebody else it's senior citizen housing and we thought that was fraud, didn't we?
They have to comply with the securities law.
Yeah.
right? I'm not there.
No, I know.
If they're marketing and they're putting out an offering material, that says something and it's not true, that could be a
All right, well, this
for
could,
them.
well, bottom line is we're not closing to get the info, so that's.
Yeah.
that's all I
Yeah,
wanted.
so, yeah.
Decide to go on without.
What's our?
Yeah.
After we close.
That's the other thing we're talking about with them, and they're concerned that if we pull benefits, if it becomes more than whatever the number is of students, that it would violate the fair housing law. And I have said that they can rent to whoever they want, whether they get benefits is a different question.
Right.
And they're still not comfortable with that, so we're still working out that.
Still working.
Well, yeah, okay, there's no point in, the thing here, it sounds like, their initial offering as as a student housing project seems something that they're kind of locked into, but time will tell. I mean, we're not gonna nitpick between, 5 students, 10 students, it's like, if it's a student housing project, it's a student housing project, but we'll see, we'll just see what they come back with, I know.
But remember the one, you said the one they did in Ithaca is, what was it, how many?
Ithaca, when I spoke with a colleague in Ithaca on that project, her estimate was somewhere between her estimate was about a 50-50 split, noting a lot of international students that were living in there. Ithaca has probably double the number of college students, so it's not surprising. But also I will say, just to be fair, also said that it was a great project. It was very successful. They've been very pleased with it. So, but those were, the numbers that were provided to me anecdotally, not data driven, just anecdotally. She thought about a 50-50 split of non-student and student.
Well, that's fine, it depends, how did they market that project up there? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the key. I mean, cause we have student housing projects downtown that are going bankrupt.
And I don't,
That's
you
all.
know, and I don't know if,
Give any more pilots out.
and they may look differently, different communities may look differently.
No, but they might have approved it up there, because if you're saying there's a huge student population, I mean, we had a policy, no more student housing, so, yeah, it may have been something they marketed as student housing, and that's why it's 50%, you know? Well, let's see what he says, there's no point
Yep.
speculating, see what he
Yep.
comes back with.
Hmm.
Now, is there a timeline for response, or we just say,
I mean, typically, if the project doesn't close within a year, it's essentially.
oh, we're not gonna wait a year for him to come back to us with, what he's doing, though, are we?
Well, don't they pay an IDA fee over time?
We do have a-
Notwithstanding whether or not they close, right?
Yeah, so
And
for
why would, I would
example,
let them
Okay.
pay you.
yeah, so for example,
I guess that's.
we do invoice immediately upon approval, so a portion of our fee. And we do collect those in increments. I think they're quarterly increments or 6-month increments. Oh, well, not 6 months because it's a year, quarterly increments, excuse me. For example, we did collect our fee on Crowley Lofts, but I am of the opinion as well that that project is not going to move forward. They have paid their fee, because there is cost and time associated on our end with these projects.
Yeah, they know clearly there's a concern on our part. Now, they can't come back and try to say, well, I didn't know they had a problem. That's why we kept, they know we want answers, obviously.
Yep.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they are aware. They know they need to comply in order, or to come, you know, they need to bring us things, materials that we've asked for in order to close, and we've informed them we will not close until the board's satisfied with.
Yeah, very
They
good.
proceed.
Very good.
Hang on.
Hopefully it is.
Thank you, Peter. Is there a second to adjourn? Thank you, Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all. Moving on to the LDC portion of this meeting.
Geez.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Boone County Local Development Corporation of June 18th, 2025. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of our March 19th, 2025 board meeting. Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Peter. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Carry. Looking for, excuse me, going into our public comment session. Anybody wishing to speak on any matter concerning the LDC, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm John, I'm the guy in yellow pants, on the description. That's what I am. Call 911, tell me it was the guy in yellow pants. You know, I'm looking over the prospectuses, and this is in the department of the dumbest guy on Wall Street is smarter than you and I. And I'm looking over the UHS, I think it's 1,000-page, you know, your name is on it, whether you read the 1,000 pages or not. But it's very interesting, master trusts. And I didn't realize that hospitals were allowed to have 31% of their available cash in S&P mutual funds. And how about that? How about if you could do that, John, over at SEP, you know? You could have more things to worry about. But boy, in a bull market, you'd be right up there. So that's interesting to me because the average person wouldn't assume that hospitals are playing the market, right? This of course happened with Good Shepherd, you know, playing the interest rate swap market for a loss of $2 million, you know? You just wouldn't think about it, but that's the way it is. And continuing on Good Shepherd, I like the fella that's in there now, but he has all well, I think he's being put in there as a fall guy. I think that we're at the stage where these institutions around here have been so played out and so drained out that the next guy in charge is gonna get it, you know? And I also see in the prospectus that the Good Shepherd village leases, their lease can be possibly determined under New York State real property law as leases. So, you know, it's always the counterparty risk. I mean, it's, if things are going smooth, it's never the thing. But I can't find executed copies. I mean, you know, most of these prospectuses are on third-party websites. And the copies that are available aren't signed by Stacy and there's actually some blanks in there. So I assume somewhere in the records of the Broome Local Development Corporation, there are executed copies of these agreements, or are they just at the attorney's office? I don't know. So that would be interesting, because if you're signed on to a big deal for hundreds of millions of dollars, and don't even have a copy, a signed copy, that's cause for concern. So, and if you look at the market of these bonds, you're up into the 5% range in trade. I mean, they trade 20, the UHS bonds I'm talking about, they trade 20, 30,000, maybe 50,000 a month. A lot of them are interdealer transactions, so it's hard to surmise. So, I think the problem here institutionally is that we're at peak healthcare, peak education. It's not gonna get any better. We need new things that haven't peaked. Because certainly anybody that would get up with a straight face and talk about, say, university or community college expansion or healthcare expansion, I mean, it's just not gonna happen. I'm also concerned about, and I guess this was set up for nonprofits. That was the civic projects, but I'm always concerned about, here, you're going into uncharted territory, and just how prepared the people that run these institutions are. I mean, 1 minute?
1 minute.
Okay, yeah, I mean, Warren Buffett said it himself when he asked how much cash he needed and why he needed so much cash. He says, we got an insurance company. We gotta be able to open up no matter what, in the morning, no matter what. Black Monday, Black Friday, whatever. So I just think that these nonprofit entities here that you do business with are not prepared for even a marginal. They think that they can stage rallies and hold signs and bang a drum, and the assemblywoman or the Senate or the governor is this is something that is totally and completely different. And anybody that doesn't even have a casual contingency planning meeting, to me, is off the rocker. So I'm gonna go to my accountant's office and see how big the pastrami stain is on this tie. And if it's really large today, we'll stay and chat. If it's not, if his tie doesn't have enough pastrami on it, I'm gonna leave. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anybody else like to speak at this public comment session? Call this session to the close. Internal financial report. Anybody have questions on the internal financial report from the LDC? I have one suggestion. Can we add cash balance to this report going forward? Thank you. Because there's no other assets to speak of, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, item number 5, resolution authorizing the execution of agreement 2922F with Broome County, New York, pursuant to which Broome County Local Development Corporation is awarded and agrees to receive grant funds in the amount of $250,000 to support economic development projects in the town of Union for the period of April 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2026, authorizing the execution of a subrecipient agreement with the Lane Group of New York LLC as subrecipient and beneficiary of such grant funds, and making a finding that the proposed action and awarding of such grant funds to the Lane Group of New York LLC constitutes type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR section 617.5, and therefore is exempt from review under State Environmental Quality Review Act. Stacy.
Okay, so this comes to the LDC as a request from Broome County. You have a copy of a resolution that was approved, I believe, on April 17th of this year. Requesting that the LDC accept $250,000 in funds from Broome County under their economic development program to support economic development projects on behalf of Broome County. These funds specifically are connected to the redevelopment of the NIPEN Trade Center in Johnson City. I think more specifically connected to the fit out of space that will be utilized by Broome Tiger BOCES for a expansion of their LPN nursing training program in their commercial space. So the next action would be for the board to officially accept these funds, and we would enter into an agreement with the county for the disposition of these funds and a sub-recipient agreement with Lane Development Group. And we are signing closing documents on this project imminently. It just doesn't apply.
I know the money comes from different sources and sometimes it requires an audit, sometimes it doesn't.
This should not require a
These are not
single,
COVID funds.
these are not,
These are
they're not,
all-
yeah, no.
What is the source of the money?
Broome
Boone
County.
County Economic
Economic
Development set
Development
aside
Funds, they have-
$5 million.
Oh, it's actually a
Various
budget line,
projects.
For real estate.
not like URI funds or just.
No, this is just a
Okay.
fund,
Oh,
a
really?
specific fund the county has.
Yeah.
We're not gonna need to absorb an audit like we did.
No, so this will not require any kind of single audit. It's not federal funds. It's also, I think, below the threshold of funds that would kick in a single audit. I think that's $750. I'm looking at Marissa.
Yeah, it's $750.
$750 for a single audit,
Yeah,
I
last
think.
day.
So we're
So
below
we're
that
safe.
anyways, but it's not, yeah.
Is there a motion?
We'll move.
Thanks, Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Elaine. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item number 6, resolution to conclude seeker review pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act relating to the allocation of funds received from New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation through their Green Resiliency Grants Program towards improvements to the Roberson Museum and Science Center to support development of a green infrastructure solutions on the Roberson campus through various planned improvements. Amy, I guess this one's yours.
Yes, so, just as a quick refresher for the board, back in July of last year, we agreed to serve as the municipal sponsor and partner with the Robeson on this EFC grant, and, we're successfully awarded $1.475 million for the specific, green infrastructure projects. As part of, our duties, our administrative duties, we are required to, pass a seeker resolution. The Robeson Museum and Science Center in partnership with us received this funding to support the development of these green infrastructure solutions. Plan improvements aim to address stormwater concerns, facilitate museum access, increase pedestrian circulation, and ensure safe pedestrian circulation. Expand outdoor activities, aligning all with the site's historic significance and current usage. A feasibility study was completed by Delta Engineers, which has been reviewed and approved by the EFC for the stormwater practices they will be pursuing, which are include but are not limited to stormwater infiltration, bioretention basins, downspout disconnection, rain gardens, permeable pavements, riparian buffer restoration, stormwater trees, and stormwater harvesting. So overall, these practices just aim to capture that stormwater, reduce runoff, and will provide also educational opportunities for groups. The Robeson is going to turn this into a educational facility as well. So for the purpose of seeker, due to the nature of the project as a green infrastructure project, this is automatically classified as a type 2 action, as it'll have no significant adverse impact and actually will help the environment. So if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer, but that's why we're pursuing the type 2.
And we are receiving a small administrative for this.
Was that grant,
Let's have a
the
motion
million
first.
plus for?
Let me cut you off. Motion? Thank you, Elaine. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. Any discussion?
Was that
Further
entire $1 million+ grant, was that just for the planning funds, or did that include some implementation or project?
That'll include the construction costs as well.
Oh,
So
good,
it's-
okay.
Right now, we're
It's
just
a big
in
planning
the,
grant. It's
Some
a big planning grant. No, it is.
I've seen
implementation
entire
as well.
villages master plans for
Right.
less than that.
We are planning, so as part of our administrative role, which is the agreement we approved back in February of this year, we had a hand kind of in the RFP process, just ensuring it goes smoothly, largely on the MWBE reporting side is our role, since I do that for our grants, internally. So we are interviewing our, architects and engineers next week. I believe we're interviewing 3 to 4 firms. And then we'll make a determination on that, and when the construction piece comes around, we'll be required to do a competitive bidding process in line with MWBE requirements as well. So, it's going to include both the architecture, engineering and the, design and construction.
And Amy, those, we will bring these to the board or they go through the
They go
Robertson
through the
board?
Roberson board. So the way that we've elected to do this is Roberson's going to hold the contracts and basically invoice us. We're gonna receive the funds from New York State and then we will reimburse Roberson.
So we're essentially providing technical assistance on some of the key grant administrative items. We're receiving $45,000 in administrative fee for that, which probably.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of work.
Probably,
Probably.
yeah. It was limited to a certain percentage based off the project cost itself. It's actually like 44,000 and change. But that's just a percentage formula that the EFC tax onto what they believe administrative costs for a grant should be.
Shall we have a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Any old business? Looking for a motion to adjourn. Thanks, Dan. Is there a second? Thanks, Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.